like to speak to you about my EdD project, an inquiry into English as a foreign language, an online community project in secondary education. So, an online community project is basically a project made by a group of teachers. Usually they live in different parts of the world. Nowadays with social media that's really easy. The problem is when you're working in a secondary school, of course, the students are minors, and so you need a really safe platform. There are lots of platforms for doing this. The most popular here in Europe is eTwinning, who some people might have heard about. But there are others. Iron, for example, there's one, an Asian one, SF, I think it's called. There are quite a lot. There's American ones. There's loads. You can also make your own. You can make your own website. There's lots and lots of free software, or you can even buy your own domain. There's so many things that you can do. This is a screenshot from an eTwinning project, which was particularly big. We had about 200 schools from all over the world, and this we used various different platforms, and we made our own website for this particular one. But at the same year, I did other projects which were much smaller. So you can make it as big or small as you like. Another good thing about project work in secondary schools is that you can make the activities as you can design the activities to suit the student. And another good thing about working with other teachers in other parts of the world is that if you can synchronise your timetables, you can actually do online sessions where your students speak to theirs, and they really like that. And we document them on our website. Okay, they can also introduce themselves, which we usually do at the beginning of a project. They can do that by writing, or they can do it by videos. There are hundreds of kind of software available. So the objectives of this project, of this inquiry, is how can online community projects support the teaching and learning of English as a foreign language in secondary school environments in Italy and in other countries too. So to find out the answer to this, I used a qualitative design and I've interviewed students to find out their perceptions, the teachers' perceptions, and also teachers who don't use these projects, who don't integrate these projects into their curriculum. I interviewed some of those too. And why is this study important? Okay, so I think it's very important because one of the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030 is quality education for all, and we really need to make a change, I believe. And this can, obviously it's not going to change much, but it's a small step in the right direction. There's lots of research which tells us that using online community projects or collaboration in general really can help teacher development. You can learn innovation and new materials from each other, and likewise the students do too. Even though nowadays there's more than 2 billion English speakers, and less than a quarter of those are native speakers. And in all European countries, English as a foreign language, or English as a second language, is a core subject. It's here in Italy, the core subjects are maths and science, or maths, Italian and English. So it just shows you that it is really an important subject, and there's not much theory. And I really don't think we can, I don't believe that we can use the same theory for university students, for secondary school students. So everybody talks about global skills, how important they are because of globalization. Communication is key to global skills, and of course, as I've just said, how important foreign languages are. Okay, theory. So the theory of this study is, of course, social cultural theory, because we learn depending on who we are, where we live, when we live, who we speak to, and this depends on, this theory basically emerges from work done by Vygotsky. So I am studying him, drawing from his work and from people who write about him. And of course, the zone of proximal development, because working on online community projects and project learning in general is really suitable to working to help students learn within their zone of proximal development. Community of Practice, which was written by Levenwinger in 1991, but is really pertinent to my study. And social constructivist teaching methods work really well with this kind of learning. So my paradigm, I'll just quickly say something about it. As I said, it's a qualitative, you can't see it, it's at the bottom there. It's a qualitative paradigm, and it's an action research study, so I'll talk about that in 2 seconds. As far as the data collection, though, I'm working in I'm using multiple case study theory. So let me just say something about action research methodology, because it is central to this research. Action research, for anyone listening who's not quite sure what it is an insider research. That is, it's a practitioner who is researching their own practice, as I am as a teacher. I'm researching my own work. So I don't work in a university. I'm not an academic in that sense, which people call outsider researchers. So the idea of action research is that you start with a problem and you keep planning, taking action, seeing what happens, and making remedial plans, action, and you continue until, well, you just continue forever, really, which I probably will. So a theory feeds practice, and practice enhances theory, in a constant spiral of transformation. In fact, I believe, or I feel, in my many years of teaching, that there is a big lack of theory in my teaching environment, and I think we need to bridge that gap in some way. Okay, the aim of action research methodology, so obviously the biggest aim is improvement of the practice. Emancipation is a big word, and I'm not quite sure how and if I'm going to be emancipated, although I must admit I have learned so much doing this practice, this inquiry. And change. Okay, change again is another big word, but every little bit counts. So hopefully I'll make even a small change. And it's a big debate at the moment between insider versus outsider research. I personally think it would be nice if we could work together. It would be really nice, but it's easier said than done. So the multiple case study, that's obviously another paradigm in itself, but I'm just using some of the the theory to organise my action research. So because I've got all these different cases, let's say, different groups of people, which it didn't start like that, but it is now. So in my school, I'm really lucky because we've got a course which specialises in modern foreign languages. So there's students who come to our school knowing that they're going to be working at a high level in foreign languages, in English, of course. So it's like preaching to the converted, really, because these students already like English, and whatever we did, they'd probably be happy. So I've also got another group, Case 2, which are also in my school, but it's a different course, and they're not particularly interested in foreign languages. They specialise in social sciences. And we're in this particular case, there were quite a few SEN students, which made the research so much more interesting and richer. So case 3 instead were international students who were working with us on the projects, because I did about 7 that year, and or in the 2 years. So case 4 instead are some teachers who are in my school who don't use online community projects, and I can't show you group 5. Oh, yes, I can. Group 5 instead are 9 English as a foreign language teachers, including myself, and we are the group of teachers who we've worked together. We organise the projects together. We're in constant contact. So, and that is what the key to action research. So just quickly say the kind of data I collected. So 15 face-to-face interviews, 7 online interviews with teachers who live abroad, 57 open question online questionnaires from the students, and 15 face-to-face interviews, which I've already said. So the student cases, I've just said. So these are the different kinds of themes. I'm not sure if I've got time to go into them. I'll just say something. So motivation is the key I think, to this. It's a key theme. Students are motivated to learn, be they Crashing, the founder of so much second language acquisition research that I've been reading, says that people need to be motivated to read, to listen, if they're going to learn a foreign language. So learning communities is also an important part. Difficulties, they also had difficulties, nothing's perfect. And technical language skills, so grammar, speaking, listening, the usual. And that's exactly the same with case 2 and case 3. Instead, the teacher cases, the teachers who don't use online community projects, didn't use them obviously because I had concerns about them. They had time issues. They were very worried about the technical language skills. They felt the students wouldn't be learning these skills if they used online community projects. And the theoretical perspectives, this is a theme emerging in as much as the type of teaching approach the teachers who don't use online community projects use are incompatible with the types of approaches they use, the case 5 teachers use. So basically social constructivist approaches. These teachers tended to prefer a cognitive approach rather than a social constructivist approach. Okay, I think my time's running out. I'll just quickly say, so again, I've tried to keep the themes in running with everything with the others. So they're very much the same as the others. Another important theme for case 5 is the professional development. I can speak for myself when I say I've become such a better teacher. I know so much more and in theory, not just because of the research I'm doing, but I learnt from teachers who are so much better than I am. Okay, and the discussion of my research. So I've already said a lot of these things. A big part of what I've learned is the different kinds of approaches, teaching approaches. So, you know, the teacher-led approaches. So teachers who don't like online community projects prefer a teacher-led approach. They like to be in control of the class. They don't like to lose that control. Whereas teachers who use online community projects, of course, you can't control what happens when you're doing project work. You can guide what happens, but you can't control it. Okay, what else is there? It's not working. Okay, so my research has shown that there is potential for improvement in all aspects of the language skills. All the students said all aspects were discussed in interviews. And a lot of the teachers believe, the teachers who use online community projects, of course, believe that they would be a good thing it would be a good idea to use them in teacher development programs. And they have definitely got a lot of potential to increase motivation and inclusion as well within secondary classrooms. So, of course, this will go towards helping students learn English, because if they feel motivated to do so and they feel included and part of a group, it will really help. Integrating an online community project has lots of potential, and for all the community, teachers, students, school system. So it would be useful, for this reason, it would be useful to add them to teacher training programs. And of course, not just for English as a foreign language. These findings would be valid for any language. So teachers really do need, I think, to know the potential of integrating online community projects into their curriculum. And also, this research has the potential to give myself and other teachers more self-confidence about doing this. Okay. And further research, so of course this inquiry has limitations, and it's not generalisable, and so more research would give a better picture. They also more research in different kinds of activities, because there are all sorts of projects and all sorts of activities you can do. I did notice while doing my research is people have not really, or lots of teachers haven't really understood much about the CEFR, the Common European Framework for Reference for Languages, and that I think is quite important. More research into the effect of global society on English as a foreign language in secondary schools. Yeah, I don't think much is known about that from what I've understood in my literature research. Okay, and thank you for listening.